Welcome to Inspiring Business with your host, Mark Bullock, who is the co-founder of videosocials.net and of videointerviewpodcast.com. In every episode, Mark interviews business and organizational thought leaders who share their stories of how they inspire others by making a difference. You can find this show on videosocials.net and YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and almost any podcast platform of your choosing.
Welcome, and today I am delighted to have my friend and a longtime client from some time ago, Michelle Bullock. Now, Michelle is not related to me, even though she shares the same last name, but I think she's a fan of our work as much as we're a fan of hers. She's also the owner of Michelle S. Bullock Law and Mediation, PLLC. Welcome, Michelle. It's wonderful to have you on today.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you inviting me to chat with you today. Very exciting.
Terrific. And one of the things I always like to start with is I know a little bit about your story, but I think it's interesting, and I would love for you to share with the audience, why did you become an attorney mediator, and what is your purpose in it?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you again. And if I start to ramble, feel free to, redirect me. Because this journey has been just that, such a journey, and it takes lots of twists and turns and go in directions, we never expected. I became an attorney because I really wanted to help people. I wanted to find a way to help people navigate the law and work through it. And when I finally started practicing, it certainly isn't everything you think it's going to be. And I was part-time for a while. I was raising children, had 3 children. And then I felt a divorce looming and knew I had to change my direction a little bit. I had to work full time and thought, you know what, I need to maybe look at other avenues. So my partner, my supervisor at the time said, would you consider family law? I had avoided it for many years because I just didn't want to get into that part of, contentious workspace every day. But I dipped my toes into it and found that, I definitely had some skill set there that I wanted to continue doing, even though litigation was never my first love. So I did that for a few years, and then, the divorce was happening, and I thought, I'm doing this, it's fine, everything's working out, but still not quite what I love. And then I found mediation, and I took the mediation training through our local Center for Resolution and Justice, had an amazing instructor. And I knew that was where I needed to be. That was my space. That suited my personality. I really was more interested in finding resolutions than the process and the conflict process of, tearing people up and tearing families down in the process of, going through a divorce sometimes. So I didn't want that, but I wanted to help in the resolution field. So I took the mediation training and brought it to superiors. They were less excited than I was because at the time, mediation was not, at the forefront. It was big out west in California, but takes us a little bit longer to kind of catch on to some things over in this area. So it wasn't something that was popular or really, received all that well at the time, but I knew it was a fit for me. So I decided to leave the firm and start my own practice in the midst of going through my own, family situation, and just did it. Just ripped off the Band-Aid, started my own practice, 0 clients, 0 income stream. Like, I was a transactional attorney. I had no backup whatsoever. I take care of a client, move on to the next client. So I just started, hitting the pavement and got myself on some panels, mediation panels, attorney for the child panels, and actually put ads in Craigslist advertising my legal services because I didn't know what else to do. I had no idea how to build a law practice and generate income. And I was never bored from that moment on. Things just kind of, steamrolled, but I still wasn't carving out that time for the mediation because I was just worried about taking it, supporting the family, taking in cases, and, kind of spinning my wheels for a while. And I did that for a bit, and but things were going fine. And I really found myself enjoying, mediation practice a lot and all the other areas I was getting into. So I was happy I did that. But then, life hits you with things that are unexpected, and I found myself, single mom in all respects. My children lost their father at ages, at the time they were 19, 10, and 12, and that just threw everything. It wrecked our world, and it was quite a challenge to keep, now I really had to keep taking the cases I wasn't really, a fit with, but had to, keep everything in place, keep the family going, support the children. And that was a really, really challenging time for all of us. But we made it through that, and everybody is, in a good place. And it's been 8 years, and now it just seems like, having gone through that, I decided I really needed to make a change and really focus. And I questioned whether I wanted to stay in law at all, because it was just so much stress and pressure, and dealing with what I was dealing with at home. I wanted maybe to see if there's something else out there for me. So I found a coach out of California. His name's Casey Berman, and he helps attorneys leave the law. And for people who want attorneys, they wonder, what's the big deal? Why can't you just get another job? There's so much that's tied into being, an attorney. Some people, they just identify with it so strongly that doing something else is such a, I feel like maybe they think it's a breach to their sense of self and personality. And income and other obligations. It's really hard to leave. So I couldn't see a path out. So I reached out to Casey and started working with him, and he taught me all sorts of things about, what are your transferable skills? What is he calls it unique genius. That's part of his program. Let's identify some of those things and see where you might feel you have a better, fit to have a happy day-to-day work life. So I worked with Casey on that for a while, and I also took a DEI certification from eCornell because I'm very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Really love that, and thought maybe HR was a place I needed to go. Might kind of align with my legal skills and interpersonal skills. I took a little HR stint doing employee experience and relations for a few months. And although the particular organization wasn't a fit for me, I enjoyed the work. I really liked the positivity of employee experience, and took what I learned there back into a practice. But I just redefined the practice because I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to taking the type of work that was just going to be, negativity day in and day out. And I knew I had to reorganize myself. And it's my choice. I'm a sole practitioner. I can, if I wasn't happy, I had no one to blame but myself.
Right.
For creating my own issues, I can dig myself out of those issues and make a space that's going to be where I want to be day in and day out. So I've done that finally. It only took me 25 years, but I sorted it out. And now I am able to, happily work with clients, and that business is rolling along really well. And I could focus on, those areas that really bring me joy, and that is reflective in how I can serve my clients. And then also, just real quickly, I started doing some coaching work with LHH and helping people who have been, transitioning from their career, and they need to looking for something else. So I'm a career transition coach also. And I find that to be really rewarding. And I love those conversations that I'm having with people, helping them, navigate that career journey as well. So that's what I'm into these days as far as work goes. And that's how I got there. And it's been something. It's been a lot of challenges, but we've gotten through it. And I think, came out in a place where I'm excited to be now.
And it's just fascinating, because I don't know if you know specifically, but we drank the mediation Kool-Aid a long time ago. I really encourage the industry to rethink the word alternative.
Yes.
When it comes to alternative dispute resolution. I think it should be primary. Why go to war until you at least try to negotiate and have and try to find a resolution rather than I can't call what I see happening in divorce court resolution. Anyway, it's unfortunate that we have to go through sometimes really incredibly challenging and painful events to help carve us into where we can make the most difference in the world. But I appreciate that you've used, your challenges and your losses and all that to come around. And frankly, it's what I created this show for, was, for people like you, and frankly, for myself, who have been through the ringer, as it were, but have decided that what we do is we make a difference for others. And that's where we feed our souls and our spirits and it's not just a job, right?
Agreed. Completely. Yep.
Um,
You nailed it.
so one of the things that I know that you've said is, it's not just about the sale or the retainer, it's about the connection. And I think that seems fairly obvious, but I did want to kind of dive into that a little bit, because myself, I don't sell anymore. I haven't sold in years and years. But I do connect with people. And I think that's what you're talking about.
It is. When people call, they don't really know many times which way they want to go. They know they're facing either separation or divorce, and they don't know if that means, uncontested or contested, and what do those two terms mean. And they're not really sure, separation or divorce or mediation or not. It's just and they're not expected to know that. So when I speak with them, it's not so much there is an education piece to it. For every, 15-minute consult I may have, I'm explaining the process and how it works. And they're interviewing me to see if they like my style, my personality, and I'm doing the same, with them as well. And it's not about the sale. It's about, are we going to connect and have a nice working relationship together? Or is it something where I feel like maybe, we need to go in another direction? Hopefully, I'm always very optimistic that mediation will work for most people. Sometimes, absolutely, you need court intervention, you need court help, and that happens for a lot of people. And that's what the court is there for. But if that's not the case, then we chit chat, and it is about, seeing if we're going to fit together. And that's what I try to do. And early on, it was I need to work with this client because I need to keep things rolling along, have to, continue to build the practice, and we have to work together. But it's always go with your gut, because sometimes whether it's going to work or not. And if you're going to go against the grain and
Yep.
ignore what your gut's telling you, there's usually something's going to happen. It's not going to be boring.
Well, one of the things that I often ask as far as people that are coming on as guests as the show, what inspires you? And if I may, I'd like to read what you wrote.
Sure.
Because I think this ties in exactly what you're talking about, which is finding ways to make the most out of peaceful, happy, and beautiful moments in life. With all the dark and challenging moments we all face, at 52, I have a different perspective on life, goals, and wants. I've experienced tragedies and successes, and I no longer want to waste a minute doing things that don't bring me joy. It's a never-ending project. What ties in for me so much in that is that if what you're doing brings you joy, then you're bringing joy to whomever you're doing it for, right? And if you're not enjoying it, the word joy is in enjoy, right? So if we're not enjoying it, we're really not a good fit to really bring that joy to others. I mean, that's what I read out of that. But
No, you interpreted that exactly how I meant it. Because enjoying what I'm doing, especially with mediation folks, I have that energy and that strength to bring with me into the room when they need that. They need that support. I'm not a mental health counselor. I don't ever, try to approach that category, but they do need someone who is actively listening. I'm not there just to respond. I really have to pay attention. And if I'm distracted because I have all these other things going on, or I'm having a really bad day, because if I was litigating something, I wouldn't be able to be as present in the mediation room as I should be. So by letting those things go and being present and doing the work that I want to do, it is a direct correlation to having a successful mediation. And that's why people are coming to me. Just they're looking for help.
yeah, and also kind of taking care of ourselves outside of our professions and our careers, because those of us who my personal mission is I make a difference for those who make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of energy. It feeds itself. I get energy from the people that I serve, but it takes a lot of energy, and I need some downtime. I need some other interests and whatnot. And I know that's important for you as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Ooh, I'm excited about this question, because there's just been so many fun things that I have carved out time for. It's not easy. You have to really force yourself to just stop. And I'm not going to say I do that all the time, because most often I'll take files home with me and, oh, just one more file, one more thing to work on. But you just have to stop. And in that process, over the past few years, I've learned how to social dance with my fiance. We carve out a week, every week we carve out time for a dance lesson. And then we go to the dances. So we've learned how to swing dance, tango, foxtrot, salsa. I've
Awesome.
never done this before. But we're doing it together, and it's just like, and it's a commitment. It's like, okay, this is for me, because, I have to. Otherwise, you just get so buried in other commitments, and you don't set aside the time for yourself to do those things. And that's been a blast. And we're coffee enthusiasts, so now I've got, certified barista, because
Oh, wow.
I know, it's crazy. I'm obsessed with coffee, so roasting's coming next, but having those interests outside of the office and even outside of the house is just essential to bringing more peace and joy to your life that you can enjoy for yourself and for others as well. And my kids get to make fun of me, so that's always fun too.
And so that leads into, and that's fantastic. But that leads into, there are challenges, there's pitfalls, there's rewards, etc. But the key operative word there is in serving others. Because when you have the attitude of being of service, that takes something beyond performing a task or writing a contract or whatever it is. And I know that you have that, and it's something for me. But what are some of the real challenges with that you see?
I have seen, well, one of the challenges is getting so personally involved, or emotionally involved in, the outcome for your client. We really obviously have to, if you're practicing and you want to advocate zealously for your client, it's hard not to get so involved where you're almost in their position, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to keep your composure. And, oh, that attorney just sent me something that was really, incendiary, is that the right term? Just really, instigated an argument. It didn't have to. So instead of like firing off that email because you're just so, I don't know,
Put off.
irritated, put off on behalf of your client, you got to take a moment and pause, be like, okay, I need to come at this with a clear head and take a step back and, try to figure out a way to respond appropriately. But getting myself really, I didn't have enough arm's length for many years between the case and how I wanted to interact with the client in a way that was keep professional, but at the same time understand what they're saying and advocate for them. So that was challenging for me. And then sometimes, representing children in court, parents are unhappy. I'm there to represent the child, not either of the parents. I'm not neutral whatsoever. I'm there for the child, but I don't always take a position that either parent likes. That sometimes neither parent likes, and it depends on what the child is. I need to advocate for the child. So
Right.
sometimes I'll get backlash from people who aren't even clients and never were clients, and that's been difficult at times. I had to, seek an order of protection at one point from one parent, because, he was unhappy with, the way I was advocating for the child. So there's just definitely a lot of pitfalls and a lot of ways you have to kind of protect yourself and yourself, in many ways, physically and emotionally, when you're, advocating for people. And in mediation as well, I have to, make sure that I'm staying neutral. And
Yeah.
my experiences are not their experiences, and I can't presume that we share that.
Right.
So that's a challenge.
And you've written about quite a few, mistakes to avoid, tips and ideas, and you, like all of the clients that we've ever worked with, pretty much make a lot of information available for free, and in your thoughts and your suggestions and whatnot, and that's available through michellebullock.com. And you're also, of course, on LinkedIn with Michelle Bullock, attorney, coach, mediator. And you've got a Facebook page under Disputes with Dignity. And that's kind of how we met with phoneblogger.net, and know that we helped you kick off your blog and get that going. And I'm very happy to see. I took a look today. You're still going with that, and that's wonderful. And you did try out one of our other services, and we are self-sponsored. So I did want to take just a moment to talk about Video Socials, and it's videosocials.net. And what we found was, as professionals, we need to be able to get what's in our head out there and in our hearts out there for our not only prospective clients, but for those that might refer them or those that really just need our help. In 2023, now that is very much video, because people are far more engaged in video, etc. But how do you do that? How do you have those conversations with an audience rather than talking to this inanimate object called a camera? And so we created Video Socials, and we get a small handful of professionals together at a time, usually 5 to 10 people, and we take turns shooting our 1 to 3 minute you might say marketing videos, but in reality is that we're sharing knowledge, we're giving experience, and if we're doing it right, the content that we're creating actually makes a difference on its own, regardless of what whether or not it turns into a client or not. But I know that you had you had given that a try fairly early on. But what was your experience with it? What was your takeaway from?
I enjoyed it. So I decided I wanted to give it a go. I had, practiced in the elevator speech, time and time again, but I'm uncomfortable on camera, and I wanted to, start to hopefully not feel so uncomfortable on camera. I figured I would give it a shot, and I found it very helpful. The other participants were, very supportive and gave me some nice suggestions. Why don't you do X, Y, and Z? Now it's been a few years, so likely I forgot what they suggested. So I need to re-engage so I can, improve my comfort level on camera and how I, share my information. But I really enjoyed the process, and I think it's a great service for sure.
Well, wonderful, and we'd love to have you back, and as well as anyone that wants to do marketing videos, wants to get their message out there, and would like to gain that confidence that's required on camera, and be able to have a conversation with somebody that isn't watching right now, but it will be in the future. There's no cost or obligation to come as a guest. So videosocials.net, just click on the guest tab at the top of the screen. We'd love to meet you.
I'll be there.
And Michelle, in kind of closing up, I really wanted to, this is a little bit more involved of a question, but how can transforming your operations, how you practice, by eliminating and reducing negativity, how does that ultimately lead to fulfilling work and a better work product for clients?
So forgive me if if I repeat myself again, but I feel that by closing off one channel that was not fulfilling and that didn't suit my personality, my needs, and what I wanted to do with my day-to-day life, closing that channel just opened up so many other opportunities and time to think, time to process, time to plan, and really grow that part of business or work that brings me joy and happiness and things that I'm passionate about. I was concerned that, oh no, if I don't take this litigation case, what am I going to do? I won't have any other work coming in. But it didn't happen that way at all. What happened was I was able to focus on, okay, I want to find another SEO company. I want to find a company that's really going to develop my website the way I need it to. And I did. So I was able to stop, take the time to put into other operations that needed improvement. Found a virtual receptionist that was able to capture the clients that I was missing before because I wasn't able to grab the calls because I was too busy spinning my wheels doing the other work. So once I took a pause and took the time to find ways to streamline or improve business, I was able to have those clients come in that I really wanted to work with mediation and other clients, and then start focusing more on that. So closing down one opportunity certainly led to others coming my way.
And so it's not just closing doors, it's closing a door that's not working or not working well.
Right.
To allow ourselves to see the other doors that are actually open. We just need to walk through, right? So
Exactly.
I think it's I think you're an example of somebody who has realized that there are those that are a really good fit for you, and there are those that are not. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I've often said, even in the marketing world, it's marketing. It's a two-edged sword. Really good marketing attracts those that are can most identify with us, can most be comfortable with us, and who can be best served by what it is that we provide.
Mm-hmm.
And it repels those that this is not a good fit.
Right.
So, because we don't want to waste their time, and we certainly don't want to waste our time. And so kudos to you for really kind of honing in and taking the time, because it takes time. You literally have to stop, think, engage a coach, have conversations with those that know us well, et cetera, and really do it strategically, because what comes out of that is not only much more fulfilling work for ourselves, but much more impactful work for those that we serve.
Definitely. And I had to take it in baby steps. I couldn't take a week off to do all these things. It was like, okay, Friday mornings from 9 to noon, I blocked off the calendar. That's when I'm going to, start reaching out to people, take some time, find some providers, figure out, where I'm struggling and where I need to improve, and just kind of take it in small steps that way, and carve out the time, little by little.
Well, I would say so for anyone that is in a transition of career and would like to have a conversation, identifies with what we talked about today. Obviously, michellebullock.com, and of course, if you're in what is the geographic area that you're serving as a mediator?
I'm in Buffalo. I'm in Josh Allen land.
Okay. So if you're up in that area and you're contemplating a divorce, you're in the middle of one, whatever it is, and you want to look at mediation as something that's to resolve conflict rather than expand it, please do look Michelle up, and again, her blog is wonderful. She's got a lot of great information, so you can and you make that available, of course, for free. So that's awesome. So, and
also online. So mediation doesn't have to be geographically limited, right? So there's online mediation can be successfully handled.
Absolutely. And mediation, unlike being an attorney, it's not, you're not licensed within a specific state or whatever, but I think you probably focus, more in the New York area, or do you do mediations for out of state?
I don't. I only focus on New York, because I draft property settlement agreements, and only an attorney can do that, and I'm only licensed in New York, so I only deal with them. I mean, I can mediate other areas that weren't New York law based, but right now it's New York.
Got it. Michelle, what a pleasure. It's great seeing you again. We haven't seen each other for a while, and I'm so glad that you're on the path that you're on, and you're making the difference that you make.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I will see you on video socials.
We absolutely look forward to it. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Inspiring Business with your host, Mark Bullock. Your positive comments, likes, and most importantly, your sharing of this show with others is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the Inspiring Business Podcast on whatever platform you prefer. You can catch prior episodes on videosocials.net and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the major podcast platforms.